All right. I'm just gonna do a little quick sound check here, right here at the start of the stream. Hang on, let me see to make sure this is working. All right, and we are good to go. Welcome to the stream, Indie Sundays. We are up and at 'em. Working on the lighting here. It's a little goofy right now, but we're working. We have a table, we have a chair, we got a fridge right here. Maybe I'll put something fun up here as we go. But yeah, I'm messing around with the format a little bit today because I'm going to try to do Indie Sundays and Indie Mondays this week. So I'm going to talk a lot about music and everything today. And then tomorrow I'm going to try to hit some movie stuff because there's some movie and visual entertainment stuff that I want to talk a little bit about. But today we're going to hit, there's some interesting today here on the Indie Sundays, brought to you by Goody Awards. I want to talk a little bit about some music news, and then a bunch of albums dropped this week, and then I also want to get into kind of a topic about folk music, about pop folk music, sort of popular folk music, now versus back in days of old. And I want to talk a little bit about that to sort of bring up that topic because I want to make a video about that and maybe drop it a little later this week. But I just sort of want to see what happens and just think about that right now. So if you have a chance, let me go ahead and share my screen here. If you got a chance to check out the Goody Awards YouTube, oh my gosh, are you following the YouTube on the Goody Awards? You should be. We got a community poll up right now. Which is the better era of indie folk, pop folk, so on, like just like folk music in the mainstream? And we've got 2010s, and I have some examples of people here. But there's, I only have so many characters, so I couldn't put someone like Judah and the Lion or something like that. And then in 2020s, you might also have like Boy Genius might be on there, Phoebe Bridgers group that she's a part of, and then maybe somebody even consider Shabuzi, maybe some folk stuff. Anyway, but you got some options here. I see we got one vote already. I am interested to hear what you guys think. I mean, I have an opinion, but we'll get into that a little later. Just wanted to go ahead and tell you about that poll. So that way you can go vote, and then we'll talk about it a little later. Or if you have comments, be sure to drop them in the chat. Oh, we have some stuff in the chat already. Okay, say hello, Alberto. Hello, Evie. Oh, goodness. Alberto says, finally, the type of format I need in my life. That's right. That's what we're giving you the things that you need. So thank you two of you for tuning in and checking us out here on the live stream. So we're gonna get into a little bit. Not gonna be a super long live stream today. Of course, I always say that, and then we go super long. But I'm splitting it up. So today I'm gonna talk about music. Tomorrow I'm planning on doing it again, and we're gonna talk about some movies because I'm gonna try to go see this new movie, The Substance. Let me switch over to this tab. The Substance here, it's about this. It's got Demi Moore in it, who is a name I recognize, but not a person that I really know. So this is her. Oh, look at there. And it's about, it says, a fading celebrity decides to use a black market drug, a cell-replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, a better version of herself. So, promises to be kind of interesting. And then I also went and saw Beetlejuice. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about this as well. Beetlejuice and Deadpool, I have some interesting things this makes me think about, is the advertising budget put behind those movies, because I think it's an interesting sort of situation. So we'll get into that tomorrow if you're able to tune in. If you have any friends who would love to hear me talk about Beetlejuice and advertising or whatever and all that stuff, let them know and they can tune in as well. But today we're going to hit some more music because there were quite a few albums that came out this week that I want to hit. And because there's a couple of headlines of things that are happening. And which I'll dovetail into some of the stuff later on. But I really want to go ahead and hit some of these albums because I think that's some of the big stuff that I want to let you know. Because last week I felt like there were several people that dropped, but not a lot of big people. And then I feel like there was some more, especially like in the indie scene and the alternative scene, there were some more people that dropped. So let me go ahead and hit this like Hippocampus album. If you're a fan of Hippocampus, they've got like Bambi is a song by them. That was pretty popular in like the late 2010s or whatever, talking about they're sort of like an indie rock group, and they've got this new album out, Flood, which I think if you have a chance you should check it out, because I think I really like the vocal processing on this album, just with the lead singer, what he does with his voice on stuff like, and the melodies are pretty fun, like on something like Paranoid, Everything at Once. The thing that I will say is I really, really like this song Closer, but I think it's a missed opportunity to end the album with that song. And like, I'm like, come on, that was an easy thing that you could have done, is end the album with Closer. So, that's just me. Maybe they wanted to end, it's this really like sort of sweet, sort of stripped back, but vocoded a little bit song. It's a really nice moment, but like then they bring it upbeat again with I Got Time. So I don't know. I don't think they should have done that, but that's just me. I think that's just like a simple way that they could have made the album slightly better sequence. But so that is Flood by Hippocampus. Also want to point out that you can find any of these songs that I mentioned, any of these albums I mentioned, on our Indie Sundays playlist, the September 24 playlist, just highlighting all the songs, albums that came out this week, this month, that we think are good. Here are some that we'll be getting to in a minute and everything. But you can see any of the ones that we mentioned, sort of highlights from these albums right there. And you can also find the link to that on our Goody Awards Instagram page. You can just go to the link in bio, and it'll take you right to that. So that'll be nice and fun. All right, let's get next to the another sort of band that had an album come out this week. Neon Trees had an album. They got Everybody Talks. So their album is out this week as well. And I think I think that thinking on this album as we talk here on the Goody Awards, it's interesting how it's kind of like a pop punk type album, which is not what I really would have expected from just hearing like Everybody Talks, that song that I feel like we all know. But it's got a good start to it. There's some good songs on here. Some of the guitar stuff is really good. And so El Diablo, I think, is a fun song. The Favorite Days is good. Recover. So there's some good songs off of here. So if you have a chance to check those out, if you like them, go check out some more. So those are two albums that came out this week. Let me make sure that I don't have any other chats or things that are going on as I continue to move on with stuff that's albums that have dropped this week. Let's get into a bit of a controversial one. If you're following us on the Instagram, you saw me post a story where I talked a little bit about this one. Katy Perry dropped her long-awaited, long-hated album 143, which I looked at. I was like, well, what does that mean? It's like, I love you, like is one letter, four letters, three letters, and then also she sees 143 as for her sort of what do you call that? Like an angel number or whatever. Yep. If someone knows, let me know. It's one of those things. It's like her lucky number basically. And so she titled this album, but whether that's her lucky number or not, I don't think this album has done that well for her. Just leading up to it with the Woman's World being the lead single and the whole debacle with that, just being sort of like this feminist anthem purportedly, but then it's not that great. And also she worked with a producer who has been accused of like abusing women and so on and so forth. So not a great look. And this album has been getting a lot of hate. People are saying it's mid. People are saying it's bad. Oh, let's see. I see. Evie says, I think it is an angel number. Okay, yeah, cool. So 143 angel number. Yeah, but so this album, it's not good. I don't think we expected it to be good. If you were tracking anything, I don't think the general populace expected it to be great. Yeah, I think that there's no surprise here, but and I'm not out here trying to defend her, but I do want to say that I think that there are a couple songs on here that I think are okay. This song Truth, I did enjoy, and this song Lifetimes, which was one of the other lead singles she put out leading up to the album, with the little dots they're noted with, Woman's World and Lifetimes and I'm His, He's Mine. So let me start by saying that I think that those songs are kind of fun. And I think that the tone of this album, pop music, she really leans into like some dance type music here, but it sounds very simple. The production's not that great on this album. It's kind of, and a lot of the stuff is kind of cringe. So it's just like, she's very much a millennial, and you can't hate someone for being a millennial, but you can call them out for being a millennial. And whenever they're really leaning into it, I mean, the whole thing of it even naming the album off of like a lucky number or whatever it is. I mean, I can't stay up to date on all the pseudoscientific uh, psychology stuff these days or whatever. But yeah, I think it's a little cringe. Like even the song "Crush" makes me think about. Hang on, I have a little clip here because like "crush" is like an interesting word for like she's like 40 years old to use. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Is Katy Perry? You're a little too old for this to be out here trying to be like this pop girly because we have the pop girlies now. We have the Chapel Roans. We have the Charlie XCXs. We have the Sabrina Carpenters. And this is not me. I mean, this goes into I'm gonna go see Substance, which talks about being like an older woman in the industry. And I'm not making fun of the fact that she's like I'm trying not to be misogynistic here. I'm trying not to be sexist here. It's not the fact that she's old, and it's not the fact that she's a woman. It's just the fact that she is not self-aware, and that comes with whatever age you are. It does not matter. I think is more susceptible to people who are of a certain time, of a certain generation. But being not self-aware of your cringiness is of your shortcomings, of your blind spots or whatever is just people are gonna look at you and be like they're not gonna take you seriously. So she wants to be taken seriously. She wants to have fun, but it's just not great. Like this song Wonder has like she's like I wonder like if we look up at the stars is like it's like this sort of cheesy little motivational fake deep thing of being like I wonder like if we're all going to be okay and that type of thing or whatever. Like it's just not good and it incorporates like a child's voice to be like oh I'm just a child at heart trying to see like I wonder if it's just like it's not good. So and the production's not great. The features aren't amazing. 21 Savage sounds like he's falling half asleep. Kim Petras is okay. Doji's it's all right. JID, I feel like with this artificial, they're really trying to recreate. She's really trying to recreate like another ET Dark Horse type song, but it just doesn't really hit. There's some potential here. I don't think this. I don't necessarily think there's a world where this album could not have worked, but it's just like it's just pretty average, and it makes it even worse just that she like has so many resources behind her. She could like she has so much talent and everything behind her. Just like I don't. Is it just you? Is it just you? How did you? How could you have pretty much been able to do anything, get anyone, and you made an album that had like maybe two good songs on it? And that's just me. So that's that album. I think it's just bringing that up. Let's see. An angel number. Here's we've googled it. An angel number is a number sequence that contains a repeated number series. Okay, so I don't know if that was the right term to use it for, but 143, her lucky number. I love you. Well, Katy Perry, I don't love this album, so I'm sorry about that. But let's move on to an album that another one that came out this week that I was pretty excited for, and I was happy to see. You may not be super familiar with this band, but Sammy Ray and the Friends. I've seen them live. I went and saw them with my brother. I think earlier this year, and they're really good live. Like the sort of the main focus of this, I think the main takeaway, it's kind of this. It says alternative music, but it's sort of there's a classic style to a lot of this music. Like Sammy Ray, the sort of main character, this main lead singer of the group, is like a very good vocalist, a very like classic vocalist. She can hit those like songs. It's kind of like mixing classic pop, traditional pop of like because there is a category for that at the Grammys if you ever check it out. Sort of like your older like if you think of someone like Frank Sinatra or like making music like that, and sort of incorporating traditional pop, R&B stuff like that. That's the type of music that they make. And so it's a fun. Oh yeah, so Evie here is saying it's jazz. Yeah, so they incorporate jazz, they incorporate R&B, a lot of type of stuff into this album, and so into their music. And this is the first project that they put out, first full album that they put out. And so I'm excited to. I think there's some really, if you want some fun music, there's some fun songs off this album. I think Cool Dog at Night is really fun. I think Good Time Tavern is really fun. I think that you can just tell that they're having a lot of fun on the album. And let's see. Oh, we got a comment from Alberto. Do you think she's trying too hard to sound different in this album? So I do. I think that's an interesting question. I think that maybe. And I will say I'm not too familiar with all her previous work. I've listened to some of the singles, and like, there's not a ton of recorded music out there because they've mostly subsisted off of uh, touring and getting and building a fan base in that way, which a lot of bands have to do. I do think that it's interesting how they incorporate. It's interesting how they are really trying to make this an album. Like, you have the Friends intro, which is like a 50-second thing, or this 11-second thing. It's almost like skits. They're really trying to make this an album. And I will say to that, I think that I think she's really, and they are really wanting to be taken seriously as like that this is a project that is worthwhile to exist. This is a project that they're really trying to put all their stuff on. It's all like new songs. And so I I don't know that it's necessarily trying to sound too different. I think they're just trying to put like 110% effort into what they're doing. That is what I would sort of say. And I think you can pick up on that. I do think that I feel like it doesn't quite have the same effect as seeing them live. I think some people, you see them live and it's like, okay, this is pretty much the same as on the album. Like, I went and saw 100 Gex live. Oh, imagine that. And it was kind of like the show was okay, but they didn't have a lot of energy. It's like, it's just about the same as like hearing a recording of it. Like, in some ways, I don't know that it's adding too much. There's a lot that is added just with the energy of this that I feel like you see them live. And so, you know, if it doesn't quite hit with you, I hate to say like, well, go see them live and then decide. But I think you should at least give it a chance if you haven't checked them out. Because there's just like a lot of joy in this music, and I think that's like I know earlier this year I talked about sort of the lack of comedy in some music, and so that's something that's kind of been on my mind. And I do think sometimes we see like a lack of joy and like happiness in music, and I think that you get a lot of like fake stuff, as in like a lot of people that are kind of like just trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to make happy music, but it just feels so corporate and everything. And I do feel like that is still like they're small enough, they're indie enough. It's from the original artist enough that it does feel like in this album that they're having a good time, and especially if you can see them live. It just seems like everyone's having a good time, and that just makes you enjoy the songs that much better. So they're either faking it really well or it's really true. So that's an album that I think, yeah, if you like some of that traditional pop style, if you want some happy music, not that it's happy across the album, I think there's some variety, but maybe go check that out. So that is several albums that came out this week. With music, and so I think there's some good stuff. I think there's some mid stuff. I think there's some bad stuff. But yeah, I'm happy that we're in the new period of people dropping music. We're waiting a couple months for whenever the Grammys comes out, but until then, we've just got people can just be putting out what they want and sort of making waves. So we'll see. We'll continue to track all that and see how it goes. I'm gonna hit charts tomorrow because I'm planning on doing it tomorrow. You gotta hold me to it. But uh, Sabrina Carpenter continues to hold strong. I will say that, and I will note a couple new music stuff. Is that on the charts? I like to sort of recognize whenever someone's on the Hot 100 like for the first time, and we have Surf Curse with Disco. You've probably heard this song before. Hopefully, like, I don't get copyright strike for using this, please. I just want to. It's like a little. It's become a little TikTok sound, and it's interesting because I feel like this trend has already kind of died out a little bit. I don't know that you're seeing anymore, but it's this whole thing. So if you've heard that song, that just hit on the charts. It went number 91 on the Hot 100. So it's the first time Surf Curse has been on the charts. The song is old. I mean, with a lot of like TikTok stuff, it gets found and then reclaimed and repurposed and everything. So it's interesting to sort of see them hitting on the charts. Of course, even though maybe the sound isn't that popular anymore, keep in mind that the charts are a little bit behind. So, but yeah, enough people have been listening to that song. Enough people have been listening to Surf Curse that they've sort of had some stuff. Also, Addison Rae, I am quite interested to see that she came out with a song, Diet Pepsi, and it's interesting to see her pivot. If we're talking about TikTok, if we're talking about people making music on TikTok, is that she has sort of done music in the past and everything, but not necessarily been seen. Has she done music? I think she has. I want to say she has. Maybe not. Um, I'm almost certain that she has. But she did some acting on Netflix. Yeah. Oh wow. Von Dutch, A.G. Cook remix featuring Addison Rae. What the hell? Yeah. Brad Summer. So it is interesting. Addison Rae is sort of changing her. It's interesting to sort of see what's going on with her because I feel like she's trying to pivot and seem a little cooler. I think some people like, it's like, oh, you don't have any talent. You're just famous because you're an attractive white woman and you do little dances. So I do think she's trying to pivot. And I think that I do think that she's trying to pivot into something kind of like a Tate McRae. I'm not just saying that because they have like a similar last name, but the song is not bad. It has a key change that I'm not exactly too sure about. But it's catchy. It's not terrible. I'm sure she has some people behind her that can make a really good song. But it's interesting, even when people have a lot of money, they can still make bad music. I.e. Katy Perry, E.T. Katy Perry. So I am excited to sort of see what Addison Rae continues to keep doing. And if you haven't checked out the song and you just want to hear like a little pop song, give it a chance. Hit number 86 on the Hot 100. So a lot of people are listening to it. Rex Orange County, Fred Again. They both have albums that came out recently. They are both on the Billboard 200 as well. Not super high, but they are on the album chart. So happy to see that. Couple movie stuff. We've got some artists that are going to be in movies. We got a rapper that's going to be in a movie. We got a trailer that just dropped for a movie I'm very excited about. Anne Spree Carpenter has a special, but we're going to talk about all that tomorrow. So you got to stay tuned. I want to dovetail into some different conversations because I was seeing some stuff about. Let me hit a headline here real quick. Noah Khan, which I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name because I looked it up and I'm pretty sure. But he had let me switch to this tab. He had a ice cream collab with which that's what I want. That's what I want in my life. I want to get to a point where I can do an ice cream collab because I would come up honestly, and drop in the chat if you have any ideas of what my flavor should be. I feel like I would have to lean into being ginger in some way. I don't know that there are really too many red ice creams. There's strawberry, but is there really any red? I feel like that's an untapped market. So if I get to a point where I can make my own ice cream, we got to do it. So if you have any ideas, drop it in the chat. But he made this sort of limited time Ben and Jerry's thing, Northern Latitude. It had a latte ice cream base and graham cracker pieces in it. And he made it in support of his mental health organization because he's pretty passionate about that, the Busy Head Project. It was only available in sort of locally in Vermont for a limited time. So sorry if you weren't in Vermont whenever that was out this past weekend, because now you can't get it anymore. So we'll see. If they roll it out, though, I'll let you know. So let's see. Do we have an idea for some ice cream? Let's see. Alberto says salted caramel. We have Evie saying flavored like ginger ice cream, flavored like ginger. Says Evie. I don't know, flavored like ginger. Oh, like flavored like ginger snaps or something. I'm really not a fan of ginger snaps, which is unfortunate because if I was, that would be like a great thing to sort of push. That like get this ginger ice cream. But I don't know. Maybe I could do it if I get famous. I might have to style out and make ginger ice cream. But I wanted to bring up Noah Khan because I talked a little bit about in the poll earlier that I mentioned earlier. Let me see if I can get back to it. Okay, so which is the better era of indie folk and pop folk? Because I was thinking about this because it's the 10-year anniversary of in 2024. I wanted to look at some albums that are like 10 years old, and I was looking at this American Author song, American Author's album, Oh What a Life. American Author's very popular for I'll get back to that in a second. But American Authors is very popular for the song like Best Day of My Life. Gonna be the best day of my life. That's my little singing that you get. So they and Lumineers and Mumford & Sons are very much like 2010s pop folk or whatever. Even Judah and the Lion or whatever. With singing along to the banjo. Gee whiz. So what is the difference? Which is better, 2010s folk or 2020s folk, which is like Noah Kahan, Phoebe Bridgers, Zach Bryan, Boy Genius, those types of folks. Which which is better? I see Alberto saying 2010s for real. I assume that means I'm hearing refresh the poll. Let's see. Okay, let me refresh the poll because it's not updated. Sorry. Let's see what the polling numbers are. Okay, we got 3 votes. We got 2 for 2010s, 1 for 2020s. So I have refreshed the poll. So thank you for that. I see Caitlin is also saying that 2010s is the move. Though Becca says, although not a big fan of American authors, and that's kind of what I want to get into because I think it's an interesting. I've really been. I have to listen to this album a few more before. I'm going to try to put out like a little pre-recorded video later this week on maybe a Throwback Thursday. Might be trying that a little bit because it is. I feel like American authors with Best Day of My Life. It's such like a quintessential 2014. Like it's like I want to call it like millennial folk. And I hate to dig on millennials, but I don't actually, because I think making fun of millennials is my birthright as a person on the internet. So if you're a good millennial, I'm not talking to you. I think millennial folk is something that really gets at, because I was listening to the Lumineers album, their 2012 album and their 2016 album, which is on either side of the 2014 sort of folk era, where you have like "Hey Brother," that song too, and everything. I feel like we kind of lost the plot in 2014 on folk music, and it really became like mainstream. And I mean, you have that whole era of like, there's like a meme of it, of like stomp, clap, hey music with all that stuff. Let's see if I can find. Okay, yeah, here's this tweet. Let's see exactly, but let's see. Let me share this tab instead. So this is what I have right here. Can you guys see this? Yeah. So right above me, remember this genre of music from like 2011? I like to call it stomp up hey. That stuff sucked. Lamau indeed. So there was kind of, they say 2011, but I feel like it was kind of like the 2011 to 2015 era. It really got big, and it was just folk music, because it got popular, like most genres, or most subgenres. Let's see. Ooh, we have a comment here. Defending American authors. American authors has other songs that are better than Best Day of My Life. True. I was listening through the album. They've got some songs on there, but like it is interesting that we hit this point in the early to mid 2010s that was a song that did get so popular. Now, obviously, pop music is sometimes the most boiled down corporate version of any sort of trend, and that sometimes they get it right, but sometimes it's just like the most basic version. Like I'm sure like anytime, is like something like when rap was getting big, when mumble rap was getting big, which I will defend that some mumble rap stuff can add to music, can change music, but like when Gucci Gang was big in like 2017, 2016, 2017. That is what I would also point to another time whenever there was this trend in music and they made like the most basic version of it and it like got super big. And so it's interesting. I also see comparisons to Imagine Dragons. I'm sure some of their stuff as well. I know they lean some into rock, but some of their folk stuff, they got folk stuff as well. I really am trying to get an idea, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this. I feel like it was this time with a song like Best Day of My Life, which was like, if you just look at like the IMDb page on like how it was used, because it's like just such an obvious song. Like it sounds happy-go-lucky. It sounds basically like the most basic version of like happy ukulele music that you might see in a fun ad. It's like that idea is what that song is. Which it's not a bad song necessarily, but it's just like it's very obvious. And so I think that there was some good stuff coming out with Lumineers. I would even say like their Ho Hey song or whatever was the one that got popular. And it's kind of like I listened to the rest of the album because I was like, I listened to that song a lot, and it's kind of like that, like oh hey, and it's like doing like that stomp clap music like we see here in this meme. But the rest of the album isn't necessarily really like that. It's kind of stripped back. It's kind of like very sparse, and that's kind of the one that stands out in that way. But I guess it was the one that was easiest to sell to people, to put on the radio, that was interesting enough for someone who are just like casual enjoyers of pop music and not necessarily specific genre stuff. And so I bring all that back to that I feel like to our poll, to and now I know. Let me refresh it here and see if there's any other votes. I kind of like the in it now. Granted, this may be the state of the music industry and sort of with the democratization a little bit, where perhaps we're able to get some stuff that's a little better. Now, some people might say, I just talked about earlier in the stream, that Addison's Ray Diet Pepsi song is terrible, uh, and that it is like the terrible stuff of TikTok music. But I think that 2020's pop, and the stuff that's popular of 2020's pop, is of folk pop, indie folk, is much more promising. I feel like we're in a thing that feels like kind of a little more genuine, a little less like commercialized. You know, because like even that American Dolphin song, "Best Day of My Life," it was not just used in like TV shows or like movies. It was used in commercials because it's kind of just like it's like literally like the type of like happy ukulele music because it's that turned into a pop song. And so I feel like we aren't seeing that as much. But I feel like we're in 2024. We're 10 years on. We're at the same point where folk is getting popular. Taylor Swift made Folklore. She made Evermore. She, Bon Iver just dropped a song this week. Speyside, I think is the name of it. Speyside. And we got Noah Kahan, we got Phoebe Bridgers, we got Zach Bryan has been like super big on the charts and everything. I don't talk about him that much or whatever, but he's been big. Are we going to see folk get cringe again? Are we going to see get too commercialized? Have we already seen that? I feel like we're in a better place where that's not going to happen, but I do think that things go in cycles. That we're in a time. It seems to be much more that we're in a time where everyone's sort of grabbing on to country music and sort of taking that and doing something with it, and sort of like trying to co-opt that for better or for worse. I do think there's some good stuff out there. I think there's some stuff out there that's like, okay, maybe not so great. Like I think Shabuzi's good, but I think I do feel like Beyonce's Cowboy Carter, although there's some good stuff on it, it's just like I feel like it's maybe not the best album. I think is it Joe Jonas or someone's coming out with one of the Jonas Brothers, I think is coming out with a country type album. He was like, I didn't mean to like do another country album. I just thought the music sounded good, and I was trying to do this. So it'll be interesting to see, and sort of how folk continues to go. It's interesting that we've kind of got a revival of it now, like 10 years later. So I'll be interested to see how it goes. If I have any other thoughts, I'm going to listen to some more stuff, do some more research, and I'm going to try to put out a video this Thursday, a little throwback Thursday 10 years ago, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll do that a couple more times this year. I really want to talk about Pharrell, because he also had his album come out in 2014, his last album that he ever dropped, and he's got a movie project coming up, and so that'll maybe come a little more down the line. But I just want to talk about folk because there was some folk stuff coming at. Father John Misty announced an album. He's another folk guy. He's got a couple songs out right now, so if you have a chance to go check that out. Screenland has some good dynamics. But yeah, so that's a little bit of what that topic. That is a little bit of what has been going on in music this week. And let me go ahead and sort of get ready to, I just switching it up a little bit, focusing a little more about music stuff, and then tomorrow we'll do a little more movie stuff, visual media. So tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. right here. Goody, it'll be Indie Mondays, brought to you by the Goody Awards. So we got Indie Sundays for music, Indie Mondays for movies and stuff and visual media. So thank you so much for tuning in, my loyal viewers. Enjoyed you guys interacting in the chat. Love to see you. One last note on if I was to have a ice cream named for me collab with Ben & Jerry's, just like Noah Khan did. Evie did clarify and say like ginger the food the root. Have like a ginger root flavored ice cream. So if you think that would be good, tune in tomorrow. Tune in next week. Keep tuning in. Get me famous, and then I'll do a collab with Ben & Jerry's. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in on this Indie Sundays. Tune in tomorrow for some Indie Mondays, and I'll enjoy seeing you then. Hopefully, I will have seen some movies then, and I will have thoughts to tell you. And have a great rest of your weekend, and have a good work day tomorrow if that is what you're doing. If not, have some fun having some time.